Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order when you check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Sports Pictorium Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. If he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL helmet poster. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday's Sports on the Sports History Network. As part of the NFL's 100th anniversary, a team of 26 committee members selected the NFL All-Time Team. I think the committee did an admirable job overall, and I agreed with roughly 80% of the selections. But for the sake of debate, here are my defensive picks. At defensive end, I agree with 6 of the 7 chosen players. Who's out on my list? It's Lee Roy Selmon. He was undoubtedly a great player, and I believe his place in Canton is warranted. But he had a relatively short career, only 9 seasons. Others were just as good, and some better, and they played longer. In his place, I've chosen Andy Robustelli, who played from 1951 to 1964. He was named All-NFL 7 times, and was the 1962 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Overall, my top 3 defensive ends are David Deacon-Jones, Reggie White, and Gino Marchetti. They are followed by Bruce Smith, Andy Robustelli, Doug Gatkins, and Bill Hewitt. At defensive tackle, again, I can't go with the full list chosen by the selection committee. I dropped 2, John Randall and Buck Buchanan. Yes, both were great players and worthy of their place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I believe 2 players were slightly better. Leo Namalili from 1946 to 1963, and Ernie Stautner, who played from 1951 to 1964. A 10-time Pro Bowl selection, Leo the Lion played 4 seasons in the AAFC and 14 seasons in the NFL. Ernie Stautner played in 9 Pro Bowls. My top 3 are Bob Lilly, Merlin Olsen, and Joe Green. They are followed by Alan Page, Randy White, Leo Namalini, and Ernie Stautner. Outside linebackers, I've selected 5 players at this position, with 1 replacement from the committee's roster. I give Derek Thomas, who played from 1989 to 1999, a slight edge over Derek Brooks, who played from 1995 to 2008. Even though Brooks played more Pro Bowls, 11 to 9, I believe Thomas had at least 3 or 4 more good seasons left in his career if he had lived. My top 3 are Lawrence Taylor, Jack Ham, and Bobby Bell. Ted Hendricks and Derek Thomas follow them. Now we'll go to middle linebackers. Over the years, this position has been blessed with some phenomenal players. With so many great ones, I needed to pick 8 for my squad. I agree with the 7 players that the committee selected, but I did notice what I consider to be a glaring omission. Ray Nitschke, who played from 1958 to 1972, was a member of both the 50th anniversary team and the 75th anniversary team, as well as being a 5-time NFL champion. My top 3 are Dick Butkus, Willie Lanier, and Ray Nitschke. They are followed by Chuck Bednarik, Ray Lewis, Jack Lambert, Junior Seau, and Joe Schmidt. Before we get to the defensive backs, I just wanted to mention one of our sponsors. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a sports history fan. And if you're into sports history, you need to check out newspapers.com. At newspapers.com, you can get access to over 640 million pages worth of news from the US, Canada, England, Scotland, Ireland, and more, dating back from 1798 to yesterday. Get a free 1-week subscription to newspapers.com by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/newspapers. And with a paid subscription, you'll also be helping to support the production of this and other Sports History Network shows. That's sportshistorynetwork.com/newspapers. At the cornerback position, again, I agree with the 7 players the committee picked. But man, they blew it by not including Herb Adderley, who played from 1961 to 1972. A player who was also left off the 75th anniversary team. The late Steve Sable of NFL Films, who viewed footage of every player, was adamant that Adderley belonged on that team. I agree. I'm adding Mr. Adderley, a 6-time NFL champion, to my top 100. My top 3 are Mel Blount, Willie Brown, and Herb Adderley. They are followed by Deion Sanders, Dick Night Train Lane, Mike Haynes, Ron Woodson, and Darryl Green. At the safety position, the committee chose 6 players, but I'm going with 5. I dropped Jack Christensen because he had a relatively short career, 8 years, compared to others. My top 3 are Ronnie Lott, Larry Wilson, and Ken Houston. Amlin Tunnel and Ed Reed follow them. There you have it. What do you think? Next week, we'll go over the offense.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
We here at the Sports History Network proudly partner with 26 podcasts, all revolving around the history of sports. But did you know that many of our hosts were sports history authors way before they started their shows? It's true. We've got Joe Ziemba, host of When Football Was Football, Joe Zagurski, host of Pro Football in the 1970s, Mark Morthier, host of Yesterday's Sports, Tommy Phillips, host of Lombardi Memories, and Scott Adamson, co-host of From the 55-Yard Line. All these authors have many books for you to choose from. To check them out, go to our website at sportshistorynetwork.com/sportshistorybooks. Pick up your copy today. Soundtrack provided by Kevin MacLeod of filmmusic.io.